Welcome to this session on Tyrock's productivity tools for the Sage 300 Operations Suite. Tyrock's productivity tools contain over 50 programs that add hundreds of features for Sage 300. Features for accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger, inventory control, order entry, purchase orders, and payroll. This video focuses on several key programs for Sage 300 order entry and purchase orders: extended order entry, extended PO entry, update orders, ship orders, and complete and delete orders and purchase orders. We'll start with extended order entry. Extended productivity tools are enhanced versions of standard Sage 300 screens. They add smart finders for fast data lookup, and they have extra buttons for increased functionality. For example, extended order entry features include smart finders to look up orders, customers, and items, enhanced customer inquiry, enhanced purchase order creation from orders, order creation based on previous orders, item quantity display during entry for all company DBs and locations, additional margin and recent cost columns, on-the-fly kit editing for custom configurations, shipment entry by picking sequence order, and quick forms printing without navigating to other windows. Let's launch the program and see how these features work. The first thing you'll see are the Smart Finder buttons for looking up orders and customers. There's also one below the item grid for looking up items. There are other new buttons on the screen: an Update Orders button, Ship button, Order Margin button, Create Purchase Order button, Order from History button, and OE Forms button. And you'll see an All Locations grid that displays item quantities for other company databases and locations such as for SAM Inc. and SAM Ltd. This grid can either appear in a separate window or at the bottom of the extended order entry screen. If you scroll through the order detail fields, you'll also see additional columns for margin markups and most recent costs. I'll add a new item to the order to show how the item finder works. I'll click the Item Finder button to display the item Smart Finder, then enter Light in the search field. Notice that Light returns several items, some with light in the description and some with light in the comments field. I'll add the word desk to narrow down the search, and now I have one matching entry, a desk light. I'll double-click it to add it to the order, and then enter a quantity. Tyrock Smart Finders are fast and easy to use. Depending on your settings, you can click the All Locations button or look down at the bottom of the screen to check item quantities at all affiliated locations. You can display item quantities for every location at each affiliated company or for a specific group of locations, for example, all locations in one region. Let's look how you can create a new order for customer 1200 using a previous order as a template. We'll assume that Ronald Black has a standard monthly order, so it's easiest to start this month's order from a previous one. I'll click the New button, enter 1200 for the customer number, and then click Order from History. You can select various filter criteria and click the Load button to display all of the matching orders. In this case, I'll enter a date range, October 2019 through December 2019, and then click the Load button. You can click an order in the top grid to see the details in the bottom grid. And you can even drill down to the original order by clicking the Order Number column heading. I can now select all items on the order, and I can also click the Include button to add or remove items. You can change the order quantity right in the grid, and then click the Order button to copy them to the Order Details grid using the historical or current pricing. I'll use current pricing. I'll post the order, then create a PO to cover the items. When I click the Create Purchase Order button, you'll notice that the program didn't go out and blindly create a purchase order for some items and not for others. Instead, it displays a grid so I can choose which items to order, and it provides a number of options for creating POs. First, it lets me either create POs using the vendor details and order records, or by using a single vendor for all items. It also lets me add new items to an existing purchase order. In this case, I'll create POs using the vendor details in item records, which means that two different POs will be created because the vendors are different. If the item vendor had not been defined in inventory control, the status column would include a message saying that the PO couldn't be completed. To correct this, you can scroll to the vendor column in the grid and add the vendor number. For this PO, I'll enter Ron Black as the order description and as the reference. You can see several other options for transferring information to the POs, including comments, instructions, and optional fields at the header, detail, and kit or BOM levels. Let's select both items to create the purchase orders for the quantities shown. And there they are. You can click the column heading to drill down to the PO details. Another powerful feature is Update Orders. Click the Update button, and then click the drop-down to choose how you want to update the customer order. The program displays a large set of choices. For example, you can update the ship-to address on the order to match changes that were done in the customer record, or you can substitute item numbers on unshipped orders. In this example, we're going to change the expected ship date for all items on the order and for the order itself. Note the warning about the deliver by date. You can also move this date back to match the ship date. Ship by picking sequence functionality is most useful when a large order has been picked, and now the picked items have to be recorded as shipped. Click the Load button to list the items by picking sequence, and then enter the quantity shipped. The OE Forms button lets you quickly print a number of order-related forms without posting an order or navigating to another window. To streamline picking slip printing, you can use the settings choice on the Extended Order Entry file menu to select picking slip default settings, so you don't need to answer these questions in a pop-up dialog when you go to print. Select the first checkbox at the top of the form to change picking slip printing behavior. Choose the print destinations, report form, and sorting order for picking slips, and choose other print options. These settings bypass the setup and printing picking slip print dialogs. Finally, I'd like to show you how Extended Order Entry lets you drill down to the extended customer inquiry screen. Click the Inquiry button at the top of the screen to view up to 20 tabs of customer information. For example, you can see all past orders, invoices, and receipts. That completes our quick look at Extended Order Entry. We'll move next to the Extended Purchase Order Entry program. Similar to Extended Order Entry, Extended PO Entry is an enhanced version of the Sage 300 Purchase Order Entry screen that provides increased functionality and faster access to POs, vendors, and items. Extended PO entry features include smart finders to look up purchase orders, vendors, and items, vendor inquiry with up to 20 tabs of vendor information, purchase order creation based on previous POs, an item quantity display at the bottom of the entry screen, just like an order entry, as well as an optional display of quantities at other Sage 300 companies and locations, and an extended drop ship function that can handle dozens of order lines in one operation. Let's have a look. As an extended order entry, the first thing you'll notice are the Smart Finder buttons. In this case, for looking up POs and vendors, and like an OE, there's a Smart Finder button below the item grid for looking up items. You can also see other new buttons on the screen, a drop ship button and a purchase order from history button. And you'll see a grid here that's just like the area on the order entry screen for viewing quantities on hand, and another grid at the bottom of the screen that displays item quantities for all locations, even in other company databases such as SAM Inc. and SAM Ltd. Like an extended order entry, this grid can appear in a sizable, separate pop-up window or appear at the bottom of the extended PO entry screen. I'll add a new item to this purchase order using the Item Finder. I'll click the Item Finder button to display the Item Smart Finder and enter the word light in the search field. And, as with OE, I'll add the word desk to narrow down the search. I'll double-click the matching item to add it to the PO and then enter a quantity. This is the same easy-to-use feature that we saw in extended order entry. Now let's create a new purchase order using an existing PO as a template. I'll click the New button, enter 1200 for the vendor number, and then click Purchase from History. You can select various filter criteria and then click the Load button to display all of the matching POs. In this case, there aren't many POs for this vendor, so I'll just click the Load button to see them all. You can click an order in the top grid to see the details in the bottom grid, and you can even drill down to the original PO by clicking the Purchase Order Number column heading. This order has two items that I want to order again. You can use the Select All button to add items from the order, and you can also click the Include column to add and remove items. You can change the order quantity right in the grid, and then click the Purchase button to copy them to the PO Details grid. You'll notice there's a second tab in case I want to select based on the items that I previously purchased as opposed to the orders. This mechanism is very much the same. You select an item, enter the quantity you want to order, and then click the Purchase button to add items to the PO. Now let's see how easy it is to drop ship multiple items on this PO in a single operation. Click the Drop Ship button and select the type of destination address you want, such as the customer address, and click the Customer Number Smart Finder. I'll search for Ronald Black and then select the items on the PO that I want to drop ship to Black's address. I can use the Select All and Select None buttons, and I can double-click in the Include column to cherry-pick items. Then click the Drop Ship button to update the shipping information on the PO. There's one more feature that I want to show you on this screen, Vendor Inquiry. Click the rightmost button beside the vendor number field to display up to 20 tabs of vendor information. You can view all vendor details by choosing the tabs on this screen. You can also drill down to all original documents, such as original POs. That completes our quick look at extended purchase order entry. We'll look next at the Update Orders program. Update Orders eliminates the time-consuming steps involved in changing order details for dozens or hundreds of quotes or orders in the Sage 300 order entry module. It lets you change multiple orders when the components of a bill of material or a kit have changed, when the expected ship date or one or more items have changed, when a price list has changed, when one item needs to be substituted for another, when a customer address changes, affecting active or standing orders, or when a large number of orders need to be held or taken off hold. The program updates the orders quickly and accurately in a single operation. Let's launch Update Orders. First, you choose what needs to be updated. For example, if an item is out of stock and you have to update the expected ship date on all orders, you would choose Update Item Expected Ship Date, choose Specific Item, select the item, specify the expected ship date, I'll move it to January 24th, and, depending on whether you ship partial orders, update the order expected ship date too. Now you can select the orders to be changed. In this example, we'll choose All Orders. You can also choose additional criteria for selecting orders, using a wide selection of order fields. When you click the Load button, all of the orders or quotes that match the criteria will be displayed. You can double-click an order number to display the full order details. You can use the Select All and Select None buttons, and you can double-click the Include column to make your selections. To finish, click the Process button, and the operation is complete. Another common procedure is an address update. To do this, choose which addresses you're updating. The new addresses are pulled from the customer record, and then specify the customers that you're updating. Again, when you click the Process button, the operation is complete. Update Orders is very flexible. To update kit or BOM numbers, you simply specify the item number of the kit or BOM and the from and to kit and BOM numbers. You can also specify the ID and password of a person approving price changes resulting from different kit and BOM numbers. If substituting items, you can select orders by customer number or order number. You fill in the from and to item information on the item list form and choose the substitution options that you require. The program lets you restrict substitutions to unshipped orders and keep the price of the original item. Or you can specify the ID and password for the person approving price changes resulting from item substitution. Again, you can select a range of orders. I'll select the orders for a single customer, number 1105. Once again, I'll click the Load button to display the orders in quotes, and then click the Process button, and the operation is complete. Like most productivity tools that perform potentially large changes, Update Orders keeps a daily log file, which you can see here. We'll look next at the Ship Orders program. Ship Orders streamlines the process of shipping and invoicing large numbers of orders from Sage 300 order entry. It lets you ship hundreds or even thousands of orders as an end-of-day procedure and automatically generate invoices in the same operation. It also lets you ship and invoice specific items, or ship only back-ordered quantities, or permit or hold partial shipments. Let's have a look. There are many ways to select orders for shipment, the most obvious being order number or order date. In our case, we'll select all unshipped orders up to January 10th. When I click the Load button, the program displays all of the matching orders. Note that these selected orders are for all locations. And you'll notice that this radio button says All Items. But there's also an option for selecting orders for a specific set of items. I'll open the pop-up window where I specified the 7400 series posture chair as something that's just arrived. And note here that I can choose to ship either all items on that order, if the whole order was waiting for the chair before shipping, or ship only the listed item. If I click the Load button now, only orders with this item will appear. I'll reselect all items. You can see by this drop-down option that we're going to allow partial shipments. I can also set different shipment and invoice dates, and I can enter the ID of a credit approver if I want to ship to customers who have exceeded their credit limits. I'll click the Load button again. I can double-click on a particular order if I want to drill down to see it. To ship all orders at once, click the Select All button. To invoice all orders, click the Invoice All button. When I click the Process button, after accepting the warning, the shipments will be processed and the invoice is generated. This process will take longer if you have more orders. Finally, I want to mention a popular set of productivity tools: Complete Orders, Delete Orders, Complete Purchase Orders, and Delete Purchase Orders. Complete Orders simplifies the job of completing orders in order entry by finding incomplete ones, eliminating discontinued items, zeroing the quantity outstanding and quantity committed values for each incomplete line item, and then setting the order status to complete. Complete orders and complete purchase orders ensure that your committed and on-order inventory item quantities are reliable. And you can use delete orders and delete POs to remove excess data and speed up day-end processing. That concludes our look at Tyroc's productivity tools. Thank you for your interest and attention.